Welcome back to Chris and Retro. Man, having a heck of a time getting this video out. You ever get done with something you're working on and you're like, man, that's crap. That's kind of what I've done with this sucker, man. Retake, this is take four. Because it's a subject matter that's so easy for me to get derailed, and I'm trying to understand, trying to stay on mission with with my message to you. Um, just for the record, if you ever want to have a conversation with me about this woke world we're living in, I'm probably not going to stay on subject real well, because there's just so many trails, and I get all fired up, and I start talking too fast, and then I lost, and then we have to come back to the beginning somewhere. So apparently, I can't make videos about things like that. So I'm doing my best to slow this down and get to something that matters to you. Tonight's subject matter is going to be about this song, "Try That in a Small Town." Jason Aldean. If you've been living under a rock, Jason Aldean made a song. A lot of people like that song. A lot of people don't like that song. Those that like that song have made it somewhat of an anthem of who we are in a small town and what we stand for and what we won't stand for. And it's been kind of a battle cry, somewhat, I would say. It became a battle cry. It was a song that's been out, I guess, for a couple months, if I understand correctly. Honestly, it's just kind of like a ho hum song. Candidly, I think it's Jason Aldean's done much better than that song. And if I was going to hear a song that was kind of make me flash back to my hometown, or deal with being sick of the crap that's going on in our society right now, that probably wouldn't have been the song that would have drawn my attention as a battle cry. But what happened is it became a lightning rod because somebody said, "Ooh, that's racist. That's causing problems because Jason Aldean's a racist, and we need to cancel this." And then everybody says, "Oh my God, we're going to lose all this money in ad revenue." So they start pulling stuff off without even thinking through a freaking thing. We just don't think. We just react. We react based on emotions and what we're told to do based on our group of freaking sick-minded people around us. So I'm going to try to share a unique perspective on this song and not go through the same rant you've heard from everybody else. First, I grew up in a small town. I grew up in a very small town. I graduated from the same high school my father graduated from, and the same high school that two of my four children graduated from. And my ex-wife graduated from. Several of my cousins graduated from. You get the idea. Small town. Probably 45 people in my graduating class. Never much more than that at any point that I can recall. Much less than that, I believe, this year. There really was two parts of small town living for me. One was the town of Naples in Western New York, and one was Italy Valley. And Italy Valley, the town of Italy in Italy Valley, was where I actually lived. Naples has a very liberal-minded community. I don't know if it was always that way. I don't recall it being that way growing up there, playing baseball there and being involved in the community, because that was the epicenter. That's where the grocery store was and all this other stuff. So that's where you go for your community stuff. The fire department, you get the idea. Nice little small town. There's a big winery there. Widmer's Wine was Widmer's Wine. Now it's Hazlitt. It's known for grapes. It's grape country. They have a big wine festival. They take, I think at the time there was 2,500 people that lived in the town. And during the wine festival, there's over 200,000 people go through there in 2 days. So it's a cool little town, and they've got some cool things. Well, it's turned into a very artsy community, and with that's come a very liberal bias towards living. Some really nice people down there. There's a mix of really nice state of themselves, self-sustaining people down there. And then there's another mix of this, crazed population that's got to scream from the mountaintops about every social agenda on the planet. That's that small town. The other part of it is where I was in Italy Valley, in town of Italy, which was, I've learned a word this week and understand now what it meant. I know what a holler is now. I didn't know. But in the South, it's basically, I guess, just a small little road between two hills. If I'm wrong, guys from the South, sorry. That was my take on a meme. You can see the level of my education. I learned things from memes. I'm smart. Well, the Italy Valley was kind of a little bigger than that. So probably I could walk 10 minutes, probably 10, 15 minutes from the base of one hill to the next. When I say hill, the hills were big enough that they could jump hang gliders off of them and fly for 45 minutes to an hour at that altitude. So they were not little hills, and they had nice steep cliffs. And an entire hill was a state park. And it's called High Tour, and it goes all over the place. Yes, you can get lost over there. But that was where I grew up, was in this town. Well, in the middle of it was all this population. And in that town was a different population than what was 8 miles down the road where we went to school. A lot of ex-military, a lot of people with substance use issues. you had a lot of trailers, a lot of people living there that weren't, it wasn't really a transit population. There were certain houses that had a lot of transit people in there, but generally the community was sustained by certain families that were there throughout time. There was some names that were always there. And there was always the squabbles, and the bickering and the nonsense and the gossip and the rumors and all that crap that goes on in small towns. But I can say that unlike the community of Naples, where we were in Italy Valley, I can tell you that if any of the things that they're describing this song, somebody hitting somebody in the face, somebody robbing a liquor store, somebody burning a flag, especially, I honestly believe there would have been a whole lot of problems where in my small community. And the reason I do is because you have a lot of ex-military people there. You do have people that have the right to bear arms, and they do. Ex-law enforcement officers, two of them in particular. You have a community of people that do look out for each other, and regardless of whether you get along with your neighbor a lot, and a lot of them don't, just that's kind of how it goes when you're got nothing else to do but fuss over each other next door. They would stand for their neighbor in times of trouble. They would go to them if they found out they had a sick relative. If somebody dies in your family, it's not uncommon that people are coming over and feeding you all the time. It's nice that way. Small towns, that's my perspective in Western New York small town setting. Now, the song with Jason Aldean alleges other things. He, I believe, is painting the picture of a stereotype. Maybe it is like that in the South. I'm sure that probably it is more like that in the South than it would be in the North. But he's alleging that if any of these things happen, you better watch yourself because they're going to follow you out of town. Based on history, that's possibly true. I guess I just have a general problem with, I'm not going to stand behind Jason Aldean. You know what I mean? He's a country singer that wrote a song that I believe intentionally stirred up controversy, and he's making a ton of money off of it. He is nobody to be pitied or defended. Good for him. Good move. Good business decision by his record label, the business behind this. And Jason, good job on delivering this whole situation. Now, the controversy on the other side, this whole woke, take him off the TV, shut him down stuff, is ill-advised knee-jerk reactions based on the cookie-cutter approach. If it says this, you must get rid of that. If it looks like this, you must get rid of that. So that sounds an awful lot like racism to me. If I said that every rap video that somebody came out looking a certain way and used certain keywords in that rap video was racist and it has to be taken down every single time, imagine what would happen. We don't go so bold as to say that he's a country boy singing white music and use words that the country South uses, because that would sound racism. What we do is we say that's drawn from historical racism, and it's still in society, and it's now being glorified in music. Well, I heard nothing in that song that was any different than what I've ever heard, and I don't hear either side I don't hear it equally being modified on both sides of the aisle in this thing. Now, do I believe that if a song is implying racism, should it be played? No, not at all in any way, shape, or form. It should be shut down, and both sides of this argument should agree with that. But every stinking thing that comes up, this woke nonsense, I'm hoping that we're getting exhausted with it. Now, there's one specific part about this song that I can tell you that in my small town, and in probably all the southern small towns, I can promise you that in a big city, you might be able to get away with this. But I really do believe this, that if there was a gathering, no matter who that gathering was, in a park, burning a United States flag, in any small town I know, it could be 1 or 20, but I promise you somebody from that small town is going to go try to disrupt that scene. They're going to do that. And the reason for it is because many of us have family that have served. Most of us have family that have served. I'm a father of 2. My oldest served in the Army, and my youngest son is entering the Marine Corps. I'm not going to stand for people disrespecting a flag that my 2 boys are willing to die for. My sons. So you can imagine this one small town boy seeing you burn a flag. I don't care if it's your right or not. It means more to me than it does you because of what it represents. I have 2 sons that, for the right reasons, put on those uniforms and want to defend your right to run your mouth. But I'm going to make sure I defend my right to hold the line on what this country stands for. And I believe we stand for liberty, and justice for all, which means that I don't have to shut up because your feelings are a certain way about how things have always been. And I don't know what happened in your life that derailed you to make you think that the way things used to be are terrible for everybody always. But that's you for your life to work through. It doesn't mean that society has to adapt for your feelings, just like society does not have to adapt for me being a recovering alcoholic, a person with mental health issues related to anxiety and depression. I do not expect society to make changes or to adjust to me. And you don't have to change your language and you don't have to change how you behave because I expect that you won't. And I would rather put my energy on making sure that I'm being stronger and better and fulfilling my purpose as a man and making progress for my family than getting wrapped around a song that might say, you drunk, junkie, stupid old man. Write that song. It's probably a trash song in the first place. I won't listen to it just because it sucks. How's that? But I'm not going to go out and protest it, and I don't care if it's canceled. You can say that's because I'm not oppressed or whatever it is that you want to say. I feel like when we start taking over our own business and stop taking inventory of the world around us and making the world adapt and still not being healed in the end, all these changes and all this cancel culture and all these things that we're doing is not healing or protecting anybody. All it's doing is making fits, temper tantrums be done. We're taking children in the aisle that are screaming for a candy bar and giving it to them every single time and wondering why they keep screaming, because a candy bar doesn't save anything. What does is a structure, helping them understand that the instant gratification is not necessary. It's the same thing with these screaming fits and all this nonsense in our cancel culture today that says that if somebody screams, let's quick shut it down, give me a candy bar. I don't see it, and I don't agree with it. Now, what I will do, and I'll make sure this is clear too, and of course you're not, if you're on this and you're looking for a problem in this video, you're going to find it. You're going to ignore what I'm about to say. But if as a person you're struggling, just as I have a right to stand and believe for what I believe in, because of my purpose and my calling in life, it's my obligation to come alongside you no matter where you are and what you're screaming about and try to help you find another way. So as people helping people, we find progress and we will be better. It's not by wiping out whole swaths of our society and having that supposedly be the Band-Aid that's going to fix everything. It never does. It's when we come alongside each other. I've talked about being fellow travelers before. I've talked about how we got to work alongside each other. When we find a place of progress, both sides of the line here, whether you're from a small town, big city, if you have experienced racism personally, or if you are a perpetrator of racism, shockingly, you can come alongside each other. You know, I think the prison genre, honestly, here on YouTube, I think ideally demonstrates how this, from a race perspective alone. And I've been vacillating between race and, LGBTQ plus and all this other stuff on this video. So this video hasn't really been targeting race, even though that's why Jason Aldean is getting nailed. It's really about the woke culture that shuts down everything based on anybody's feelings at the time. But I look at the prison culture. There's no more segregated population than federal prison. It's a requirement. They bucket you and you get put in your buckets. At least as I understand it. I've never been a federal prisoner, but if you hear Chad Mark and you hear, Mitch Smiley and others that I've had on the channel, it's a segregated environment. But why they come out and everybody acclimates because they understand what that circumstance required and was demanded. And now they're out in society and working alongside each other. And many of them are following the exact same mission to help kids not go there. When you're in a survival mode, that happens. And when you're outside, you can make better decisions. It's interesting to me that people are coming from the most segregated environment that we have in society are working together to save kids. Shows me that a common cause where we have progress together rather than sit here wasting our lives and time screaming about things that are not changing. We'll find change when we work alongside each other as humans and solve the problems that we have each day. Well, this is the fourth time I tried this video. I'm hoping you guys still follow the channel after hearing it. I'm doing my best to make sure it makes sense and get to a place that you understand where I'm coming from. My experience in a small town is different than Jason Aldean. I'm not behind Jason Aldean as a person. I don't know him. I mean, I'm fine with him. I have no problem with him. It's just I'm saying I'm not going to be putting memes all over the place. I stand with Jason Aldean because I really don't I stand with my family, my God, my friends, that type of thing, because I know who they are and we've co-signed our journey. Jason's message is a corporate message. Let's get even the cliche that's in that song. I highly doubt that was his actual experience growing up. we fell into a cliche and we allowed another cliche group of people to come in and turn this big public controversy that turns into people hating people again. I'm just sick of the movement of the woke crowd. And I think it's time that we just stop that. Let's get some normalcy back in our lives. Let's settle the chaos down. Stop the insanity. Let's get back to doing the things we should be doing. And that's building our country in a competitive world, supporting those troops that are being put in the line to fight fights that they never are getting benefit out of, other than the fact they're representing them, the flag and the people that stand next to themselves, next to each other when they're so far from home. Guys, I appreciate you a ton. There's been a few comments on this video that have been on videos in the last week or so that have been so unbelievably encouraging. It's really easy to feel like an imposter coming on a video and standing in front of a camera and trying to profess to you, knowledge and comments and things like that. And, I'm trying to help. I want to help. I believe this channel and this venue has merit and value. And when you guys are providing your positive comments and even some coaching things, boy, I really appreciate it. Even your additive comments are just really useful in terms of growing my knowledge of this journey. And I appreciate you as fellow travelers and your willingness to participate in that with your comments. So thank you so much for everybody that has. By all means, put in comments and suggestions on where you'd like me to go with certain content. I'll see what I can do to support you on that. But guys, consider this nonsense. Honestly, consider even your investment in it. I'm investing in. I'm being hypocritical right now, but consider your investment in this craziness. If you see a song comes up and people don't like it and they're screaming about it, whatever. This turned into this big thing, so I'm commenting. But just like everything else, on the woke side of things, they're flash in the pan. They're like airbags. They blow up and disappear. They blow up and disappear. There's no sustainability to that way of thinking. There is sustainability to say that we're going to march forward and make progress, and those that do can be on my team. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you a ton. Between now and the next time we talk, please stay out of trouble.